Hello everyone, this is Sumerian, and in this video I'm going to be taking you through one of my latest toy boxes. I believe it's called Hacking Jarvis. I just submitted it today for the Iron Man challenge, and I'm just going to take you through and show you some of the logic and explain how it's working as opposed to just doing a tutorial. This one has a lot of logic. It's going to look pretty crazy, and it doesn't look like it should have that much logic for what's going to happen. But this challenge is basically based on the idea that the towers have been hacked. Jarvis can't hack back the tower. He managed to get a bit of code into the manufacturing system so that robots which are going to be constructed to attack Iron Man are going to be painted different colors. And you have to remember the colors and the order they appear in order to give Jarvis the code he needs to open the door to the next room, and so on and so forth until you get to the main room, and that code is the final code he needs to hack back and regain control of the towers. So I'm just going to show you the first level here. It's not going to provide any spoilers because the colors are completely random. So it's not like I will be showing you the color codes that are going to be present in the first level. And this is just the very beginning of the level, explaining what's about to happen. And here we go. Timer starts, and enemies are going to be created. But you'll notice they have team colors on them. So as you can see here, this one is green. So you just have to remember that that enemy was green. Why did I do that? Green, and that one was also green, and this one is blue. Simple enough at the very start. Approach terminal to input code. Those Jarvis terminals by the door, that's the terminal you approach, and you appear here. Now, what was the code? Don't think I really paid attention. I think it was green, green, blue. Oh, code accepted. Good job. Now, I will demonstrate that I'm not in fact just opening the door no matter what code you put in. This one is going to be purple and green. Oh, how am I missing you? And the number of enemies that spawn climbs slightly as you get through the different levels. So that one was purple, green, blue, but I'm going to put the code in wrong. I'm going to say orange, blue, green. Please try again. At which point you appear back in front of that door in this room, and the enemies spawn again. So purple. I wanted to make a little bit of a brain teaser where you'd have to remember. So it's purple, green, and blue. Purple, green, blue. That should be easy enough. Purple, green, blue. Now you may have noticed that there is a lot of interior type decorations in this level, and I'm sure all of us are very pleased that that information came out recently. Our daddy showed us all on Disney Infinity fan forums how he managed to get this to work, and it's very nice to be able to put the items that usually are only in the interior into our toy boxes now. But I'm going to show you. Alright, so it appears I had been in the Toybox game still, which was why the game quit out on me all of a sudden. I'm in the actual toy box now, so I can actually show you the logic. That would be a little more helpful. So what I'm going to show you here is, over here is just a whole slew mass of logic. Just a crazy field of it. And this logic is actually from one of my older games. I think it was called Dancy Pants 2, based on Gravity Falls episode. And I'm just going to go through the basics of how this is working. What we have here is randomizers, and depending on how many enemies are supposed to spawn in the room you're in, what these randomizers are doing is, we'll go look at the enemy spawn later, but what they're doing is, a random trigger 1 is a blue enemy, 2 is orange, 3 is green, and 4 is purple. And so what happens is if trigger 1 fires, it puts an input into the top dual action trigger, or dual input trigger, or whatever these things are called. I don't use them very often, but in this situation they were beautiful to use. Random trigger 2 would put an input into this one. Random trigger 3, 4 would put one into that one. And as you can see, for each randomizer, there is a group of 4 dual input triggers below it. Over here are the logic gates that are getting affected by the colors that we were stepping on in this room. And how those are working is these are the main logic gates that control these separate logic chains. And so this is blue, orange, green, purple in essence. And so every time you step on a trigger or on one of those colors, the output comes out of the corresponding logic gate and puts an input into the other half of the dual input trigger for the color you stepped on. And the only way you get a match or an output out of any of these dual action triggers is if you stepped on the exact same color that this randomizer had picked, and then you get an output from one of the dual action triggers. And how these things work is also when any of them have an output, they all close so that the next time you step on a trigger, you are actually getting to the second group of logic gates here, which are attached to the second input of these dual input triggers, and it continues on. This would be the third, fourth, fifth, all the way up. Now over here are 2 logic chains that are attached to a group of counters. The counters go 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And what these are doing is counting, I believe on this side, it counts how many matches you got correct, which means every time one of these dual action triggers actually sends an output, one of these counters is incremented. The input comes in here, and depending on what level you're in, that's the counter that is getting incremented by 1. Now on this side, these counters are counting how many colors you've stepped on. And so how the game works is, let's say you're at a pattern of 4. There's 4 colors you have to match. What these counters are doing is they're counting until you've stepped on 4 colors. And what they do at that point is they start a 1-second time layer here. Now if you've gotten 4 matches, this logic gate over here closes, and 1 second later this timed layer sends an input to it. So if the output, or if the logic gate is open, the output means you didn't match correctly, while if it's closed, the input blocked means you did match correctly. And so that's how the game knows whether you have correctly picked the same colors that the randomizers picked. So that's basically a whole lot of logic here, but that's all it's really doing. And this is the best way I found to do a challenge like this. Now these randomizers are also spawning those enemies. And how they're doing that is, like I said before, random trigger 1 is blue, 2 is orange, 3 is green, 4 is purple. So every single one of these randomizers is hooked up to one of the 4 logic gates right here. This one would be blue, orange, green, purple. And each of them simply spawns an enemy at the enemy generator in front of it, which is of course set to different team colors. So this one would be team blue, this one would be team green. They're all set up to a different team, which is how I'm, air quote, painting those enemies. Now what happens is once you finish this level, or this room, these logic gates close, and their input blocks are tied to the next set of logic gates, which again are blue, orange, green, purple, again tied to these enemy generators that are assigned to the different team colors. And when this one closes, it goes on to the next one, and so on, until you reach the final room. So that's how the enemies are getting painted. Over here is a logic chain that is controlling the logic over here to let the game know, okay, on this round, you are looking for 5 matches. So it makes sure these logic chains are set to point at the counter, which has a target value of 5, which would be this one. And it also ensures that the randomizers will count up to the 5th randomizer will fire, but the 6th and 7th won't. So these logic chains here are controlling how many of these randomizers fire off for each part of the challenge. And then on the other side, we have the logic chain which is controlling what door is going to open. So this logic chain just knows what room you're in and knows that if you successfully complete the challenge, it knows which door to open next, which checkpoint to bring you to so that you're right in front of that door, and at the very end of the game it knows that you've completed the challenge. So there's a whole lot of logic here, but it's pretty simple to understand. It's a pain in the butt to put in, but it's fairly simple to understand, but it's hidden away so you'd never know it was there, and it just looks like a simple little challenge. So that is my toy box called Hacking Jarvis. This is the logic that works. If you have any questions about this logic or how to do something similar, feel free to comment me here or find me on Disney Infinity Fans. And again, this is Samirian, and I hope you managed to get a chance to try this toy box, and I hope you enjoy it. Have yourselves all a wonderful day.